Mr Jeffrey, you've talked about our partners having a broader view. The ASCA challenge at the moment is part of the Electronic Warfare AUKUS Innovation Challenge. When I go and have a look at the UK site, I think it's paragraph 119, I could have a look and confirm that, but they specifically exclude anyone other than UK companies being involved in that. So clearly their concept of sovereignty is actually along the lines that Senator Hume is talking about, where they say you have to be a UK company to take part in this. And so my question for Professor Hilder perhaps is, do we have a similar limitation, or are we open slather in that ASCA invitation? I know it's actually closed now in AusTender, but have we allowed companies from around the world to actually bid into our program?
Senator, just before Dr Hilder answers, and she will give you the full process, and she's been running that initiative, which we're very pleased to see. But just to refer back to the Defence Industry Development Strategy, it's not that it's not to say that there won't be circumstances, Senator Fawcett, where we will need to say that this is an Australian-only project. And when it comes to potential critical inputs, we can only rely on that which we are going to produce in Australia by Australian-owned entities. But what the strategy underlines is that we need to be very, very clear and specific about what those things are and what things that we can afford to source internationally, and if we can afford to source it internationally, from whom. As you, of course, will be aware, Senator, the days where we could rely on the theory of comparative advantage to determine our global supply chains and just rely on the lowest cost producer, those days are gone. We're going to need to consciously construct a global supply chain to support ADF capability, but the construction of that supply chain has to take into account which countries we can source this capability from securely, in a resilient fashion, and which will enable a sovereign defence Australian industry. Thank you, but I'll let Professor Hilder answer the specific question.
Thank you. Emily Hilder, Head of the Advanced Strategic Capabilities Accelerator. So in that challenge, we have gone out, as you all have seen, separately in each country, and that was to allow us to move quickly. In Australia, we focused on, first of all, making sure that we aligned with the Commonwealth procurement rules, which did not allow us to restrict it to companies that were Australian-owned and operated, but rather to align with the definition as is in the Defence Industry Development Strategy. So that was quite a deliberate decision. What you're seeing there is a different in the procurement rules framework within each of our AUKUS partners. So in the Australian context, there's a requirement that have an ABN and are physically in Australia. I don't have the finer detail here, Senator, but what I do have is that we had 92 submissions in total from industry and 11 from academia for that first challenge in Australia. Happy to share that, and I know that the majority of those Australian submissions were from SMEs.
Thanks, Professor Hilder. And Mr Moriarty, I won't disclose the details of the discussion that you and I had with your counterpart from Finance, but I would encourage you to take the evidence from Professor Hilder there that the Commonwealth procurement rules do in fact act to constrain what Defence is able to do in working towards sovereign Australian capability, despite the protestations from the Finance Department. I'd be happy to engage with you both offline regarding that. Thanks, Chair.